Welcome to the Bible Forum. I'm Warren Sprouse. We're here every Sunday night from 8 until 10 p.m. Eastern to regale you with events of this week in light of the Word of God. Tonight, again, there is news out of Israel. Jerusalem News Service is reporting that Russia, Syria, Lebanon, Saudi Arabia, Bahrain, and Iraq are criticizing the United States for recognizing the Golan Heights as being Israeli territory. Now, this is something that's been going on for a week or two. The signing ceremony took place in Washington last Monday. President Trump, Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu. It featured an official proclamation, ultimately to the world, that Israel is not only here to stay, but is planning to strengthen her grip on the Golan. The Golan, which is ancient Israeli territory given them by God. In other news from Israel, Rabbi Azariah Ariel told the Breaking Israel News bunch that there are two calves currently available that may potentially be used in the preparation of the ashes. The ashes for what? For the dedication of the temple and for other things. They are currently being raised in an undisclosed location under special conditions. And the rabbi says, as per the Torah requirements, it is forbidden that any yoke or burden be placed upon them. When the calves reach 2 years of age, they will be checked again to ensure that the color has not changed and that they have no blemishes. The author of this piece wrote that the commandment of the red heifer is described by the sages as the most inexplicable of any in the Torah. Yet lacking a red heifer has left all of Israel ritually impure and unable to properly perform many other commandments, not to mention the temple. That's my comment. The Temple Institute in Jerusalem has asked Rabbi Ariel has tasked him with supervising the effort to reestablish this essential Torah commandment. As such, Rabbi Ariel is precise in his description of the commandment, including its present-day implications. He says, quote, the Torah commands us to perform the mitzvah, that's a Torah commandment, in order to be in ritually pure condition. He goes on to say this is necessary for us to engage in anything that is holy or sanctified. It's important to understand that impurity is not any type of physical dirt or something of that nature. For most ritual impurities, bathing in the mikvah, the ritual bath, is sufficient. But for this, water won't do it. After years of hard work and preparation, the rabbi charged with overseeing the red heifer claims that this biblical commandment is on the verge of reappearing. The Temple Institute in Jerusalem has been working for 30 years to educate the public and make practical steps to prepare for the third temple. After many years of research and work, they are close to bringing about an essential element, this red heifer. The animal must be 2 years of age. There can be no blemish, no holes in the ear. Until that point, it is considered a calf and it's not a cow. But as a cow, it can be slaughtered and prepared. Rabbi Ariel says some people believe that by reinstating the ritual of the red heifer, that this will bring the Messiah, or it will reinstate the temple service. But he says that's an incorrect understanding. God does not do my bidding, he says. We do God's bidding. The lack of ashes from the red heifer has prevented us from performing many other Torah commandments. For example, Today, when a Jew makes bread, they separate a small amount for the mitzvah, the dough for the priests. Today, that dough is disposed of because of the ritual impurity of the person making the dough and of the Kohanim, the Jewish men of the priestly caste. If we can reinstate the ritual of the red heifer, this dough can be baked and given to the Kohanim to eat. This baked product is one of the 24 divinely ordained gifts designated for the Kohanim. There are many commandments like this that we are unable to perform, he says, due to the lack of the ashes of a red heifer. Now, the Torah commands us to perform the mitzvah, the Torah commandment, in order to be in ritually pure condition. For most ritual impurities, bathing is sufficient, but this one doesn't cut it. It's necessary that we have this red heifer and that we're able to go through this. It's important, he says, to understand that impurity is not any type of physical dirt or anything else physical. And if they are successful in implementing the red heifer ritual, it'll not only have implications for the temple service, but it will also help Jews observe other commandments in a more complete manner. Reinstating the temple service in its entirety is dependent on the return of the red heifer ritual, the ashes that are prepared outside the temple. The heifer is not to be confused with a sacrifice per se. It is slaughtered so it can be burned in an area outside of the temple on the Mount of Olives. The ashes then collected, tiny bit of the ashes are mixed with spring water, can be sprinkled on people in order to purify them. And only a very tiny bit of the ashes are required for the purification ritual, so one heifer will suffice for all the Jews. Given the word, Rabbi Israel says that if the Jews today were given the opportunity to jumpstart the temple service, it would require a mere 4 hours to do so. Now, all of this for Gentiles means next to nothing. Unless you have studied Old Testament and the law and all this, and most of us have not, it is a huge undertaking. There are just hundreds, if not thousands, of these rituals and laws and different things. These people have got it all worked out. They're waiting for the temple. Why do they not have a temple? Well, because Islam has one of their most sacred sites right there on the Temple Mount. Tricky little thing, that. But there are people who have told us for years that there's plenty of room up there on that plateau, on that place, the Temple Mount, for the temple, along with the mosque. And it wasn't that long ago that we had a story of archaeologists who stumbled upon the remains of the Eastern Gate. Now, you see pictures of Israel and you see the wall around the temple area, and there's a gate, and we said, that's the Eastern Gate. It is through the Eastern Gate that Messiah will come when he returns. And this thing is boarded up, stoned up, sealed up. But archaeologists have found below the surface, at another level of time, the remains of the old wall. And they see the archwork of the Eastern Gate, which is significantly shifted over so that if it were to be reconstructed, it would be right across an empty spot on the Temple Mount, a place big enough to build a Jewish temple. Happenstance, accidents happen. No. If this is true, this is God-ordained stuff. This is God protecting what? Protecting his people. The Jews are God's people. They will be here during the millennial reign of Christ. There will be Jews as Jews. And there will be Jews in heaven. Oh, it's amazing. The Jews are God's people. Don't mess with them.